How do you do? How should you reply when someone asks you, how do you do? What does this question actually mean? Is it the same as how are you? Or is it different? Let's find out. But first, let's actually start with how are you? How are you is a very normal question that you will hear normal people use every day in the year 2021. When you see your friend, you might ask your friend, hey, how are you? When you see your grandmother, you might ask her, hi grandma, how are you? So how are you is something that we actually use almost every day in our daily lives with our friends, our family, our coworkers, people who we know. Okay, but then what about how do you do? So, how do you do was very common between approximately 1850 and 1950. But nowadays, in the year 2021, you will rarely hear people say, how do you do? So that's the first difference, is that how do you do is very rare. You will not hear it often. And that is mostly because it sounds very old-fashioned and very formal. You will probably almost never hear younger people say this. But if you want to use it, that's fine. You can do that. So let's look at how to do that. I told you that you can use how are you with people who you know, your friends, your family, your coworkers. But how do you do is for people who you have never met before. You use it similar to nice to meet you. When you shake someone's hand, meeting them for the first time, you can say, nice to meet you, or you can say, how do you do? But it is much more common to say, nice to meet you. I strongly recommend that you say, nice to meet you, not how do you do? But again, it's up to you. If you want to use how do you do, that's fine. And if someone asks you, how do you do? How should you reply? If you are an educated English person from a very wealthy family, you probably know that the correct response to how do you do is, how do you do? The first person asks, how do you do? And then the second person replies, how do you do? However, customs change over time, and not all of us are from educated, wealthy British families. So we don't all follow these rules so strictly. The important thing to remember is that you use how do you do the first time that you meet a new person. So it's basically the same as nice to meet you. So if someone asks you, how do you do? They're not actually asking you a question. They are just saying, nice to meet you. So you can reply, how do you do? Or, nice to meet you. Or, I'm fine, thanks. You? It's up to you how you reply. And this is why I don't actually recommend using how do you do, because many people, even native English speakers, don't really know how to reply because it's not a normal question to use in the 21st century. But if you want to use it, please feel free to use it. I just recommend saying, nice to meet you instead.